Watch how to make this waterfall table. Here's the materials used. Here's the tools I'm using. Here's the dimensions for the table. Here's the cut sheet. This shows exactly how to cut the plywood to get the max out of this sheet. I labeled each part. Example, the top is part A. This took a little over 1 sheet. From the second sheet, you'll have to cut out the face front and the back piece, part F. You'll also have to cut out your support pieces out of the second sheet. I didn't add the sizes to the support pieces to cut on the sheet because I didn't know what size it would be until I start assembling the table. Cut the pieces out. You could use a table saw, but in order for this build style to work, I used a track saw to make sure all my pieces were straight as possible. The table saw is suspect. Now that the pieces are cut out, this is how the pieces are going to get put together. But first, before we put this puzzle together, cut a 46 degrees on the pieces as shown, where it's highlighted. Notice how I included part B. This track saw works awesome for this. Once you're done cutting out the 46 degrees, it's time to put together parts F and E. First, cut a 45 degree on part F. Make sure the bevel edge is facing up. It's going to be the top. Cut one end. Measure to length, then cut the other end. Now for the front and back of the legs, part E, both sides are beveled. Cut a 45 on it. Pay attention when you cut the 45, not to cut them all for the same side of the table. Then cut them to length. So here's the setup on how it's going to be. Now we can get the measurement for the support pieces. Maybe 1, 2, 3. 3 should be good for the legs. Measure from here to here, then here to here. 13.5 by 2.5. Cut them out of the scrap wood. Now for the 2 bottom support pieces. These are going to be the bottom of each leg. Put pocket holes in each direction. For the support pieces that's going in the table, I will only be able to screw downward and to the sides, so do your pocket holes like this. Put pocket holes on part E, the leg part, like this. When you do it, make sure the 45 sits flat on the jig. Make sure the holes fall in this area. Here's how to attach it. Put glue and screw it together. Make sure the corners line up. Do the same for the other side. Set your pieces like this with the bevel facing down. Butt it up to each other and make sure it's flush. Do the same on the other end. Take your tape and put it over the two pieces. Take part D with the bevel facing down. Butt the bevel edge next to the top part like this. Then tape it together as well. Now here's the fun part. We need to flip this thing. Pick up on it and it will fold together like a box. Take the bottom support piece and check the fit. If it looks good, glue it up and screw it down. Do the same thing for the center support. I'm checking to make sure it's squared with a framing square, then screw it down. Do the same for the other side. Now add glue to all the bevels. Fold it. Put screws in it. Do the other side. I'll use a clamp to hold it in place. Screw it down. Here's what it's looking like. Here are the support pieces for the top part. I'll be putting in 4. For the top part, the support pieces are 3/4 shorter in height because it will be getting a wood on top of it. I got a scrap piece of wood to check the height. It's flush, so it's good. Now I can glue and screw it down. Do this for all 4. To reinforce the corners, I'm going to use a 2x4 cut to 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Put pocket holes, glue it and screw it down. Now put the last support pieces in towards the top. Put reference marks. Okay, here's what it's looking like. I'll let that dry overnight. Now to attach the bottom of the top part, I wasn't sure of the exact size, so now I can measure it. 13.5. Rip the plywood. Check the fit. Nice and tight. Take it back out. Put a center mark. Put a center mark on the bottom of the table. This will be a good hidden gun compartment. But anyway, glue it up. Put the part in. Line up your center lines. For the bottom part, I'm going to use brad nails, not pin nails. Use a straight edge to line up your reference marks and put lines to know where to nail. Nail it. Put the table on the side, and you can't see it, but I'm using pin nails for the front. Do the same for the other side. Now for the inside of the legs, part B, check the fit. As you can see, the bottom is good, But the top, I was off like crazy. Put a mark on it where to cut it. Cut it. Do the same for the other side. Put glue all around here. Don't forget to use reference marks to know where to nail. Now we can finish putting in the screws in the bottom of the legs. Here's what it's looking like. So it's the next day. I messed up. I should have taken the tape off right after I put it together. Now, see what I got to deal with? All this glue was left on the wood. I'm going to use mineral spirits to take it off, then sand it with a 220 grit sandpaper. The glue is off. I don't want any wood grain showing on this table, so to take care of that, spread drywall mud all around the table. Put it on and take it right back off, through the whole table. Let it dry. When it's dry, sand the whole table. The drywall mud is for the wood grain, but for the little gaps like this, the rough cuts and areas like this, I'm going to use Bondo. This is a 2-part mixture. Mix it. Then apply it. For some reason, the seam on the front and the back felt like it was sticking up, so I sanded it. Now I'm going to apply Bondo to it. Another reason I'm going to put it on the seam is because I don't want the seam to show at all after I paint this. For the Bondo, I find it's best to apply it kind of thick, then sanding it works best. When it's dry, sand it with 220 grit again. Feel it. Make sure you don't feel any rise in the wood. It will show after you paint it, when the light hits it a certain way. Now that that's done, spray the first coat of paint on it. To me, spraying it gives it the best result. When the paint dries, apply more drywall mud around the whole table again, then sand it with 220 again. See how the mud fills in all the wood grain? Now spray 2 more coats of paint and it's done. Here's the finished product. They're asking $1,000 to $3,000 for a table like this. I spent around $200, $250. Anyway, I hope some of my techniques help you out some. Don't forget to leave a comment, hit that like, bell, and subscribe button for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.